Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Unfortunately, we got to talk about Raw. So let's just get right into it and not waste too much time, all right? So we start the show with Lashley hanging around with some honeys. He was looking very Godfather-ish. He had a nice little suit and, the chicks were kind of nice, there was a nice little mixture of colors. So they weren't like all black women or anything like that. It's showing that Lashley got a little bit of taste. You know, MVP legs must be working all right. You feel me? Anyway, they of course celebrated Lashley's big win at Backlash, and then he said that MVP says that Lashley's victory was Herculean because he did it with an injury. To which we supposed to saw some injury to Lashley's knuckles, which of course we didn't see. So then he says, Lashley says that no days off. We don't take days off. So he was going to issue an open challenge, which Drew McIntyre immediately accepted. And then MVP said, nope, not you, not Braun Strowman. Neither one of you guys. Get out of here. Beat it. You're crass and not a man of class. Kick rocks. So that was the setup. That was the hook. Who's going to be the opponent for Lashley tonight? So quite a few people threw their hat in the ring. One of whom was Sheamus. So Sheamus threw his hat in the ring. Say, oi, me shoulder's a little cold. Me got a little cold shoulder. Hey Lashley, maybe come down to beat ya. And so that was one. Another is T-Bar and Mace. They did a very weird thing where they look a lot like the Ascension now, and they're flipping coins. Mace just has a very weird look. He looks like the Joker from a playing card. Like, you know how the Joker has that silly hat with the bells on the end? That's how his hair is. And they were just talking about something about pain and loans and some other shit, and they flipped a coin. I was just like, what in the hell? I'm at a loss for this. No thanks, dog. Then Damian Priest said, well, now that his thing is over with John Morrison and The Miz, he can move on. Now he's looking for a more of a challenge. So he's like, okay, look, it's time to move on. And then Shelton Benjamin also said that he wanted a piece of Lashley, and nobody came out. None of those guys came out. Who we got? Our boy Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston comes out, and Kofi was like, okay, I'm about to win the title again. Two-time champ. We on. And Kofi had wrestled Randy Orton earlier in the show. So let's talk about that before we start talking about Kofi versus Lashley. So this begins with Riddle and New Day. Riddle sent a carrier pigeon or some shit to New Day. It was like a text message or whatever, and told them that he had a 2-headed snake that he wanted them to see. Then he sends a text message to Randy Orton telling him that Adam Pearce wants to see him. And then, he gets all of them in one place. And then Riddle has kind of surprised. I stretched the truth a little bit, bro. And said that he wants to turn this party of 2 into a party of 4. And that we can do that if Randy would apologize for giving New Day RKOs the previous week. Randy was like, absolutely not going to do it. And then Kofi called it a reptile dysfunction. Anyway, he says that even if Randy had apologized, he wouldn't have accepted it because Randy can't be trusted. And then he told Riddle, he said, look, I know Randy for a long time. You will get RKO'd. It's coming. Don't trust him. And of course, Randy was furious about this and says he got in Kofi's face, and Kofi said, look, you want to go again? We don't got to wait 10 years. That's like 2009, 2019. We don't got to wait 10 years. We'll do it right now. and challenged Randy to a fight. Said they was going to have the match. And Riddle didn't want them to fight. He was like, come on, bro, no. And then Randy just kind of stared at him, and Riddle once again locked his lips and threw the key. He didn't have nothing to say. He was going to let it happen because there's nothing he could do about it. It's out of his hands. So they have the match, Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston. It was a solid match. There was a little bit of a botch, which also took place in the WWE title match where Randy was supposed to duck, but he didn't. He ended up hitting Kofi's ass, ended up hitting him in the face. So Randy just sold it because he's a pro, and he stumbled outside of the ring, and he very visibly waved Kofi out there with him as he sold the butt to the face. And then, of course, they kind of just got back into what they were supposed to be doing. So the finish ended up coming with Xavier Woods playing the trombone, which distracts Randy Orton. And then there was a roll-up. So Kofi wins in an incredibly flukish way. I was obviously pissed because that was stupid as fuck. I hate distraction roll-ups. Distraction roll-ups. WWE has blown that so out of proportion. It is that in the obligatory third party sitting at ringside that gets involved. The obligatory, both the magic shit. It's just so much garbage. It's so lazy. It's like starting every story with Once Upon a Time. It's like, come on, vary it up. Do something different for fuck's sake. But I did enjoy the post-match. So the post-match, Riddle was very disappointed in New Day for cheating. They distracted Randy. And how dare they do that? That was not cool. And he was telling them, like, look, that was not cool. And they were just kind of like, hey, we won, who cares? And Riddle, Randy kind of walked off, and Riddle was storming off too. And then he shoved Xavier Woods. Just pushed him down. And I was like, oh. So Riddle is now proving that he and Randy Orton are buddies. Like, he's got Randy's back on this. New Day is cutting corners. And I like that. It's showing a different side of Riddle. It's very aggressive. It's not as silly. I still think that RKO is coming. But I like that they're starting to really find RK Bro. They're really trying to put them together. Showing that Riddle really does like Randy, wants Randy to have friends. But when Randy gets double-crossed, he's on Randy's side. He can look at things objectively and say what the New Day did was kind of messed up. You don't just start playing the trombone and distracting people. Like, that's not babyface thing to do. That's stupid. Why would you do that? So I like that. I liked it. They didn't build off of it because they almost immediately curbed Kofi Kingston, who just pinned Randy Orton, into a match with Lashley. So Kofi comes into the match with momentum. Hey, how about that? That's a positive. He comes into the match with momentum. That's really good. Now, a lot of people was disappointed that it was Kofi Kingston. I actually saw some quote-unquote wrestling journalists were saying that we were baited and switched because we were told it was a title match, but they never said it was going to be a title match. Then people were like, well, they hate Kofi. He's not a real main eventer. He's not, and we wanted somebody new. We want somebody different. We want something else. Give me something else. I just wanted Lashley to wrestle somebody different. That's all I wanted. I was happy that it was Kofi for no reason other than it wasn't I've seen Lashley wrestle within the last 2 months. I'm not sure when the last time Kofi and Lashley wrestled. So I was happy to see it. And then the match was solid. They had a pretty solid match. And then I hated the finish. Well, I hated part of the middle part because you had the trombone shit again. Now I know it's, in storytelling, sometimes you bring up the same thing twice. You tell the story twice, or you remind people of things as you go along. Like, oh yeah, New Day will cheat if they have to. And basically they just start playing the trombone, and if you get distracted, that's on you. Right? So technically it's not like an eye poke or a leg pull or something like that. But at the same time, get the fuck out of here with this. Get out of here with this shit. Lashley should have just taken that trombone and breaking it. broken it, broken it, you know. And that just kind of shows that they're not really booking guys to get over, because that would have, that would have been probably a pop if he would have gotten that trombone and smashed it. It wouldn't have been a heel thing to do. It probably would have been a babyface thing to do at this point, because people are kind of really, really annoyed with the New Day. But at the same time, that would have gotten over, and people would have cared about the match from that point. But I didn't like the finish. So you had McIntyre hop the barricades, because of course, why not? Steal MVP's cane. I think MVP was about to hit Kofi with the cane. McIntyre then hits Lashley, and then we get yet another roll up. But this time an interference roll up victory for Kofi Kingston. So Kofi wins via roll up, and after Lashley gets hit with a cane, and we're not exactly doing Kofi favors here. You see, there's more to wrestling than wins and losses. You also have to tell the appropriate story. Kofi being in the match with Lashley and being competitive, that's cool. You can do that. But Lashley didn't win either. Kofi didn't win any of these matches on his own. There was a ton of interference. There's a lot of other stuff going on. If we're going to push Kofi as a contender, he should have at least beat Randy by himself. And then that way we could have said, okay, cool, we got everything going on. So, but now we got New Day doing they have two feuds going on. Like, they have this thing with RK Bro, where obviously we're not just gonna be okay with Riddle shoving Xavier Woods, and we can't just let Lashley getting pinned go. So that means next week we're probably gonna have to have Riddle versus Xavier Woods, and maybe some type of confrontation between Kofi and Lashley. Will Kofi be the opponent for Hell in a Cell? I would not be against that. I'm not against Kofi being in the main event. I'm only against it if he's not going to be serious. But Kofi has shown that if he wants to be serious, and if he wants to get cast in a serious role, he can do it. They just don't cast him in a serious role. They just keep him as smiling, goofy Kofi Kingston, which it feels wrong now, because it feels like a revert. It's like something he reverted back. It's like a weird thing sometimes with after he got that big run, that it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, now he had the big run, now we can go and do this. I'm like, But if they get Kofi back on track, get him some quality wins, get him some cut a quality promo on Lashley, then I'm all for it. I'm all for a fresh match with Lashley and Kofi, even though we just had it. And that was one of the things I was going to complain about, is that you blew a match that you could have put some time in by just throwing it at the end of Raw. So now, when it's time for the actual title match, it'll be the second match in less than 90 days or whatever. And that just makes feuds feel like they've been going on forever, especially with the New Day. Like, sometimes New Day feuds feel like they've been going on for months, and it's been like 2 weeks. But I'm okay with the opportunity being given. I'm all right with that. So let's move on to the next part. Disqualification in the beginning of the fucking show. First fucking match is a disqualification. Amos, of course, chase Elias and Jackson Riker around the ring. And then I'm questioning now, is AJ Styles now a babyface? AJ and Amos. Well, to be quite honest, it wasn't going to stick anyway. All right, the whole thing with AJ and Amos being heels was not working. Especially with the way they were booking Amos. They were booking Amos like a babyface, and they were booking the New Day like heels. They were taunting Amos, they were taunting AJ Styles, and then when Amos came in, it was slammy time, backbreaker time, choke slam time, and that was it. That's gonna get over. That's gonna get over as a babyface. And they're in there cracking jokes and being funny. Of course, they're gonna end up being baby faces. That was silly, but I don't see why we had to do that. I don't know why we had to do that. So then we got the shit show extraordinaire. Alexa Bliss says that she's excited to have the women's tag team champions on her playground show. So then they come on. Natalia's trying to treat this like a regular interview show. She's actually sitting on the swing and talking. Tamina's looking around in absolute disgust at this abject misery that Alexa Bliss has surrounded herself with. She obviously wants to leave. She even says as much. And then Alexa Bliss is like, oh no, I haven't asked you your favorite color yet. To which Natalia was like, I'm guessing pink. Pink is my favorite color. Of course. Why not hearts? And then Tamina says black and blue. And that's what you're going to be if you try anything weird. And then Alexa Bliss says, oh no, that's not nice. How was it fun beating up Reggie? And then she's like, yeah, and if that fly comes around in here again, I'm going to pluck his wings or whatever. And then Alexa Bliss starts going on about how Lily likes to pluck wings and collect teeth and all kinds of crap. And they just walked off. Look, my anger about the Alexa Bliss thing. Boy, oh boy. So we get so Alexa Bliss, of course, vows to watch the tag team championship match. Then Natalya and Tamina versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Oh my God, bro. Fuck you. Right? This is the shits. I'm glad it's over. Anyway, the Karafuda clutch. Natalie gets on the Karafuda clutch somehow. Reginald gets to the top rope. Fire plumes out of the top rope because Alexa Bliss is on the ring apron. Reggie tumbles on the top rope. Shayna Baszler, of course, is distracted by random fire. She releases the Karafuda clutch to sell it like, oh no, what's going on? And then, of course, she gets rolled up and pinned. Well, she didn't get rolled up and pinned. She got hit with a heart attack. But she still got distraction pinned. And Reginald was just on the ground, rolling around, trying to sell that he got burned. Nobody did anything. Nobody rushed out there to help him to see what's going on. And the commentators were calling for it. The commentators were like, oh, somebody need to get out here and help Reginald. And the whole time we hear Lily giggling in the background. More fucking giggling. More fucking laughing. More people chuckling. More people doing ha ha ha. Mustache twirling. It's this Dr. Evil shit, man. I just can't. I can't take it. I can't take no more of this shit. Now, what is with this? What is the benefit of this? Where is this going? Right? Alexa Bliss feuding with the tag team champions for fucking what? For what? Like before she even got into this whole ordeal, she was in a tag team with Nikki Cross. Now, spoiler alert, Nikki Cross was a lumberjack in the Damian Priest John Morrison match. So it's not like, we could have done something cool where Alexa Bliss needs to have a partner and then we find out that she's brainwashed Cross. Like, that would have been fine just to, get her back to being buddies. So now we got Alexa Bliss doing freeze magic one week, fire magic the next. There seems to be no end to this fire stuff. I did see there was an article that Bray was taking Harper's Brody Lee's death very bad, and that's why he hasn't been on TV. But then there was people who say like, no, that's not true. There's other things going on. Maybe it's just creative issues or whatever. It's another one of those situations where nobody knows, but everybody wants to speculate. But in any event, his storyline continues because his storyline involves Alexa Bliss. So his storyline continues with Alexa Bliss being on TV and he doesn't have to do anything. So he's got the greatest job on earth. He has passed his gimmick along to stay alive while he, I don't know, makes more babies, I guess. But this Alexa Bliss thing it's too much, And I know this is probably one of the reasons why they've been very slow to go back to crowds, so they can do more Alexa Bliss giggity garbage. This shit is trash, man. It was funny at first. It was interesting. But now I think we've lost the plot because I don't see where we're going with this. I don't even see why she cares about the tag team titles. I don't see why she cares. I don't understand, who she like. Is it possible that she's gonna pick some new partner? Okay, cool. Is it gonna be her and Lily? That would be fucking infuriating. That'd be the death of the division. A lot of people don't care about the tag team titles anyway, the women's tag team belts. But you're basically telling them don't give a fuck about these belts if you decide to make the goddamn tag team champions Alexa Bliss, who is a 5'3", 5'4", very frail female, and a stuffed doll, the tag team champions. That would be infuriating, even to me. And I don't give a shit about tag team matches, the women's tag team division. But I just want everything to be booked correctly and for people to at least get treated with a modicum of respect in this goddamn business. So Angel Garza defeated Drew Gulak, shoved the rose down his throat this time. You know what? I like Angel Garza. I've always been a big supporter of him. I don't see this Gulak thing going anywhere. It's hard to tell whether Garza is a babyface or a heel. There's no reason to dislike him, but he is doing heelish things like shoving roses up asses and shoving roses down the throat. But Gulak was also being a nerd, and nerds deserve what they get. So I also don't like Drew Gulak's new theme. It sucks. So R-Truth is back. R-Truth shows up and he says there's something wrong with my eyes. When I close them, they don't work or something like that. And I was like, whoa, okay. He's back from getting that sweet Old Spice money. Then he immediately loses the title to Tozawa and nothing comes of it. Okay, whatever. So then Naomi wants to know why Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax we got a rematch instead of them, who, should be new opportunities. And Lana says it doesn't matter who they want next. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were like, you guys, lost. We beat the champions last week in a 6-woman tag or whatever. And then Charlotte told them all to shut up because they all are wasting their time and they've already had chances. And of course, she wants a one-on-one match with Rhea Ripley. And she pretty much tries to put the pressure on Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville is like, not my decision alone. And Adam Pearce was like, look, you already had a match and you lost. And then she was like, it wasn't one-on-one. I didn't lose, which of course they're going to say that. Of course, her and McIntyre are going to pull that same gimmick. That's the whole point of triple threat matches is the whole, well, I didn't lose. Stop doing that shit. That shit fucking sucks, man. It's not even predictable. It's as predictable as sunshine. That the person who doesn't get beat is gonna come back complaining that they didn't get beat. Stop fucking doing that shit. In any event, Sonya Deville told Charlotte if she beat Asuka, they will consider her request. Then, of course, Rhea Ripley came out there and said she wants some new competition. She's tired of Charlotte. Charlotte's old news. And we still don't get a reason why we're supposed to dislike Rhea Ripley. She's cackling too now. Now she's laughing. They've fallen in love with people laughing on TV. I don't get it. It's fucking Rollins. It's fucking Bayley. It's fucking Sasha. It's Alexa Bliss. It's the fucking toys. It's everything. Everybody's fucking giggling and laughing. And what the fuck? Why is everybody like Skeletor all of a sudden? Stop this shit. So Asuka defeats Charlotte Flair. Obviously, you know how. There was a distraction because you had Rhea Ripley outside the ring. And of course, she distracted Charlotte, and that didn't lead directly into the finish. But Charlotte was trying to use the figure 4, the figure 8 or whatever, and Asuka rolled her up and pinned her. Asuka and Charlotte have some of the best chemistry. They are tremendous together. I think, it's the kind of thing that when they have their eventual Hall of Fame inductions, they should be talking about one another. They have done tremendous. They've had nothing but bangers together. Asuka and Rhea Ripley, okay, but not nearly as good. But Charlotte and Asuka go together like peanut butter and jelly, like peas and carrots, like Jenny and Forrest. Okay, they go there pretty well. I'm asking myself, is this an eliminator? Does this mean that we don't have to deal with Charlotte now in the main event? But then, of course, in this situation. Now that you've put Asuka over, what is the point of Asuka winning? Because Asuka wins, and now what? We do Asuka Ripley again? She beat Asuka 3 times already. Why can't you just sub Asuka for somebody else? Why couldn't this be, heaven forbid, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Why couldn't this have been Dana Brooke? Why couldn't this have been Naomi? Why couldn't this have been Mandy Rose? Somebody who she's legitimately never wrestled before. Why the fuck is it the same people over and over and over again? This shit's gonna give me, oh God, what the fuck? Why are we continuing this? Let this die. Look, I like Asuka as much as the next person, but for fuck's sake, she's been beaten to paste. Her winning one match should not get her back in the title picture. She literally just lost the day before. And then she literally lost last week to Rhea Ripley. Why are these same people getting the same opportunities over and over again? Like, I get it. Charlotte, that's her part of her gimmick. But everybody else should be like, you lost, go to the back of the line, go home for 2 or 3 weeks. Go do something else. This literally could have been Naomi, Dana Brooke, somebody. Especially since they were in the segment. As Charlotte came in there and told them to beat it, they all had opportunities already. Instead of saying, no, you had your opportunity already. If we can't get a tag team title match, we should want singles title matches. Why not? Why couldn't this be Nikki Cross? Why did it have to be Asuka? Why it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's goofy. It's goofy as hell. Speaking of goofy as hell, Ricochet stole Sheamus's jacket and his hat because that's a babyface thing to do. He then starts to do a little jig and dab because now he's TJP and he's going to wrestle Sheamus, which is perfectly fine. Look, I know that they wrestled on the pre-show of Backlash. I'm not thrilled about a direct back-to-back, rematch. But I was hoping that maybe they was going to build to something with this. Nope. Ricochet just lost again. Like, just kicked him in the face again. There was a scary part of the match where, they did a Spanish fly from the top rope and all of Ricochet's weight fell on Sheamus's knee. Sheamus looked to be pretty hurt. He was down for a while. He was limping for a while. I guess it eventually either his adrenaline kicked in and he didn't feel it that much anymore, or he was just fighting through it, but he ended up finishing the match. Then after the match, he basically talked about, he talked about accepting that challenge and putting the title up and all that stuff. But Ricochet is in a very bad situation. He's obviously filling in for Humberto Carrillo, so he wasn't really going to get any push. I don't see the purpose in having this guy in this position. I would have been cool. Now the match itself was fine. It was actually a pretty good match. But it's hard to get into it when there's zero chance of Ricochet winning, and he has no fucking momentum. This match was essentially cold. Yes, I know they wrestled on the pre-show, but this match is essentially cold. They tried to do some pre-match promo where Sheamus was fuming about having his stuff stolen, and then Ricochet, kind of played it off like he didn't have it at first when he really did. And I was like, I don't see, that's not going to work. I don't even know what the fuck they're trying to do, but whatever it is, it ain't going to work. It ain't working for Sheamus either. But Sheamus is on a hell of a run as far as having matches. His matches have been very good lately. So that continues, but I guess we need to stop at some point expecting that there's going to be anything out of Ricochet. I think we could take a L on Ricochet. How about that? I did see some people say that, Ricochet is so bad at talking. He's so bad at promos. And it kind of, he's better now than he was, but he's still not very good. I don't see why we just, look. The question is, what is his personality? What is his personality? Like, I saw a wrestling journalist say, well, maybe we should just let Ricochet be him. Be himself. And I was like, but if being yourself is boring, who the fuck cares? Oh, he can do flips. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, this is, I've never seen anybody get over it just because they can do flips. I've never seen that. Never seen it. People can get pops, sure, they can, but just because you can do flips, usually you have to have a higher degree of skill and, or be a hybrid guy, and I just don't see it. You have to, in WWE especially, you got to be able to cut promos. You got to be able to sell confidence or sell intensity. They're trying to turn Ricochet into some kind of trickster babyface, which could work because he does have the speed to avoid a lot of things. And if they would have used that maybe to have him avoid Sheamus, which they did early, but then Sheamus caught him. Instead of Sheamus basically just being frustrated as he tried to catch him, and just having Ricochet be like this Spider-Man almost, where he's jabbering at Ricochet, jabbering at Sheamus about being too slow. Like, whoop, too slow. You must not really want your hats. Whoop, whoop. And saying like, I'll give it to you if you can catch me. And then Sheamus runs across the ring. He, rolls out of the way or cartwheels and tumbles or whatever. And you could do the Spider-Man thing and it's still babyface. It still works, but that's not what they did. So I don't know. I'm tired of giving away free ideas. Fuck Raw. Let's move on. So John Morrison tries to explain why he's not dead and hasn't been eaten by zombies. He then said that, every time he thinks about what happened, he says that he feels like somebody's picking at his brain and he feels dead inside. Then he says he's dedicating his match to The Miz and hopes that he's in a moist place, which, of course, I hope he's also in a moist place because Maurice is nice. Okay. And she doesn't look like she's sandpaper, you feel me? Eyebrows. Anyway, they didn't bother to explain like zombies, where it came from, nothing like that. You could have just explained the zombies away very easily by saying it was a rib. That a bunch of guys decided to dress up like zombies to throw him and The Miz off. That's really like Damian Priest paid a bunch of guys to dress up like zombies and scare The Miz and Morrison so it'd be easier to beat them up or whatever. That's all you had to do. Occam's razor. Simplest shit in the world. You could have been like, oh yeah, sure, I paid a couple of guys. I knew a couple of buddies. They owed me a favor. They just dressed up and pretended to be zombies, scared the hell out of those guys. And that's it. Scared them a little bit. No harm, no foul. Like no big deal. And that would have been a perfectly acceptable way to explain why there were zombies on the show. They didn't bother to do that. It was kind of like, well, who cares? Let's just play into it. There's random pockets of fucking zombies in the building. Anyway, this sucked. Not the match, because Morrison and Damian Priest was good, but they literally just had a match similar to this the day before. I literally just watched Damian Priest wrestle The Miz in a lumberjack match that featured zombies. And then instead of canceling that fucking match, which is probably what they wanted, they ended up having Damian Priest versus John Morrison in a real lumberjack match with real lumberjacks in a real match that ended up being okay. Not good. I mean, not bad. Not good. A John Morrison match can't be bad. They can be varying degrees of good. Nikki Cross was one of the lumberjacks. I've said that already. It was a typical lumberjack match. The heels beat up on Priest. The baby faces didn't really do that much damage to John Morrison. John Morrison did some parkour stuff to escape the lumberjacks, which would have done him so much more help against the fucking zombies. The things broke down a little bit as Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander got into it. Ivar, Eric, and T-Bar and Mace got into it too. So maybe the Viking Raiders would be the next opponents for T-Bar and Mace. That of course created a crowd. A crowd outside the ring means that somebody's going to jump into it. So Damian Priest does a superplex from the top rope into the crowd. Later he did a flip over the top ropes into another crowd. So that's exactly what I thought he was going to do against The Miz. They basically just said, well, not The Miz. We're going to have it It's John Morrison. So, you know, they didn't trust The Miz. But I've also seen that The Miz might be injured. They think that Miz is hurt. So, whatever. The Miz and Morrison and Damian Priest thing is over. Damian Priest said, hey, they're in his rearview mirror. He doesn't care about them anymore. So that was Raw in a nutshell. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander had a little bit of a thing at the end where Shelton was talking about challenging Lashley. Of course, he didn't do it. Then Cedric said, well, just because you got a fluke win over me doesn't mean that you're qualified to wrestle Lashley. And it says that all of your partners abandoned you because you're the weak link. And then when you think about it, a lot of Shelton's partners, he had a lot of partners over the years. And he almost always does get left behind. It's an interesting little wrinkle that they put out there. Very interesting. I'm interested in seeing where that goes. I'm cool with that. But then there was also a new Eva Marie thing where she called herself a star and said that her job is to light the way for the next generation. She's obviously a heel, by the way. A lot of people think that she's a babyface. She is not a babyface. She is being a very arrogant heel who calling herself a role model. I'm kind of tired of the role model thing. Like the role model thing, not doing it for me. Okay, there's too many of them. You know, and there's two right now, and there's too many. It really should. I don't see why Britt Baker is doing it when Bayley was doing it. I just don't see even if you're doing it from a different perspective, I just don't see why you're doing it. It's stupid. In any event, that was Raw in a nutshell. It was trash. I mean, the in-ring stuff, as usual, was not bad. The creative, of course, is a mess. There was no zombies, so that was an improvement, but there was a hella rematches and hella stuff that we've already seen. They just doing it again and rehashing ideas and laziness and fucking distraction roll-ups and count-outs and people playing music and shit. It's just Raw. Raw is pretty much the same every fucking week now. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Please donate to the channel. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Thank you, and I'll talk to you guys later.